Welcome to the FiveStack, everybody. My name is Dean. DeanBlundell.substack.com is where you can find us. Last weekend for 50% off. Last weekend.
Oh, yeah, good
You'll
points.
never pay more. Last weekend. Come on in. The water's fine, everybody. Join the resistance. We've got annual subscriptions for 50% off. That goes until the 31st. You get chat, unlimited access to all of the content, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Guys like Lev, guys like Zev, guys like Nick Pero. We've got some big guests next week. I'm going to announce them on the weekend. So make sure that you go and subscribe today if you can and get in on that. Making it as inexpensive as humanly possible for anybody. And if you're one of those people that's really struggling financially, just hit me up and we'll see what we can do for you. But we're here for you today. Zev has the same deal as well. To the end of the month is you get 50% off your annual subscriptions, and we're going to get into some good stuff today. We're going to have some laughs today. We're going to talk about how stupid the kakistocracy of the Trump regime really is. We've got a great story about Witkoff, and for all you Elon haters, he had a very, very bad week, even though he's been very, very quiet. Where would you like to start, my good friend?
You know what? You just mentioned Nick Parrow. I should mention that I was doing his Substack Live.
Oh, it's great.
With Ellie. And then at the end of it, it got cut short because his son broke his arm right during the show. So it got broken in two places. So he tells me the son is okay, a little bit rattled by the whole thing. But that was like a real live, moment on Substack Live. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a terrifying thing. Can you imagine?
Yeah. That's unbelievable. So son's okay though? Did you hear the incident, or did someone come running down the stairs and go, Nick?
He just got a little bit distracted, and then he was very cool. I got to say, the guy was so cool during the whole thing. If that was my son, I would be freaking out.
Dude, he's a veteran. He's been in the middle of firefights in Afghanistan, and he's like, "Oh yeah, my son broke his arm." Yeah,
he didn't flinch. He was like, "Okay, I got to go now, guys." So good job, Nick.
Well, I watched about the first 15, 20 minutes of it. You guys were great. So I really appreciate the fact that you jumped on with Ellie and Nick, and it was great. You guys, they're very bright people. Citizen journalism is a real thing here today, and there are so many great citizens that have taken it upon themselves, like Nick, like Ellie, like you, kind of like me, even though we have a bit of a different background and have some media chops, if you will. But man, oh man, I am so grateful and proud of so many citizens who decided to turn on their Substack camera, turn on their spaces on Twitter, turn on their Substack accounts to be able to offer their perspective on what's going on. And, when you start seeing that collection of those perspectives that align, everybody starts finding each other. And that's how the resistance is built. And that's the importance of sharing content like this, smashing those hearts, making sure you share. You see the little white box at the bottom with the arrow at the top. You can share that right now, and you can have part of the conversation, share this with other people. As well as the chyron at the top where it says Dean Blundell or Zev Shalev, depending on whose feed you're watching. You just click on that and you can follow both of us with just one thumb click. So there you go. Now we should probably get into it because I know people are waiting. Hi, Kimmy. Hi, everybody. Sorry for not acknowledging the now 300 people that have joined us in the first couple of minutes of the show, but we'll try and get to as many of you as you can. If you got questions today, feel free to hit us with them. I'll try to get to a couple of them in regards to some of the conversations we're having. Zev's driving the bus because I am not to be trusted when it comes to actually controlling a program. So Zev, you go ahead. Let's start off with number 5 today, my man.
At number 5, Trump is attempting to unilaterally steal $4.9 billion in foreign aid funding from Congress using a legally untested pocket rescission maneuver that even Republican Senator Susan Collins calls a clear violation of the law. The White House sent Congress a 15-page notification Thursday, last night actually, deliberately timed so lawmakers won't have the required 45 days to reject it before the fiscal year ends on September the 30th. The move targets UN peacekeeping operations and democracy programs, plus, health programs or feeding programs. It's threatening to trigger a government shutdown as Democrats refuse to support any spending compromise while Trump continues these illegal funding moves. This may sound like it's nothing, but it's not. It's serious. There's a lot of cuts coming to these programs. At $5 billion, he's not allowed to do this. This is against the congressional rights to do this, but he is going to try. It could set up a constitutional crisis.
Well, I don't know if anybody's looked around. We're kind of in the middle of a constitutional crisis, 7 ways to Sunday right now. So just add this to the constitutional crisis list.
Yeah.
I love that word. I know a lot of people use it to get people to read things and get people to listen to things. Listen, I'm going to walk you through the history, the business history of one Donald John Trump. Okay. It's really, really simple stuff. And then you'll understand why he is trying to gut budgets. Then you'll understand why he's trying to not just gut budgets, but destroy all kinds of institutions in and around the United States that have mittfuls of money. Like, I mean, all kinds of money, whether it's USAID, whether it's, cancer research grants, so it doesn't matter what it is, human health and services, they're gutting everything. Now, this is just another one of those things that Donald Trump does, and he's been doing this for 40 years. If you remember when he put count them, three casinos side by side in Atlantic City, and everybody's like, you're going to cannibalize each one. They're all going to fail. You're going to lose. And he borrowed money at an exorbitant rate, and thousands of people were out of work within a year. If you remember that, let me explain to you how he did that. It's very, very simple. And it's how every business guy, including Robert Maxwell, who you write about quite a bit, Robert Maxwell, it's what every greedy business asshole, Bernie Madoff, it's the same, it's the same, it's the same. But Donald Trump is now not doing this with his corporations and people he deals with. He's doing it with your tax dollars that are meant to go and feed hungry people and provide you Medicaid and Medicare and cheaper prescriptions and subsidize FEMA, that kind of stuff. When Donald Trump wants money for himself, and make no mistake about it, this is money for himself. And I don't mean money he's going to put in his pocket. I mean money he's going to take to do things like build a $200 million ballroom attached to the goddamn White House. Okay? Or retrofit the biggest passenger jet in the world, a flying palace that he was given by the Qatari royal family.
Which can't land anywhere.
Can't land at any airport in the United States other than like 3. So anyway, what he does is he goes and shuts down programs. If you're thinking casino, shut down parts of the casino, and he takes money from their budgets for himself. For himself. So what he's trying to do now is brazenly steal whatever monies are left in USAID for himself. And that money's for malaria. That money is for AIDS. That money is for all kinds of things that the United States government does around the world to keep, Americans healthy abroad and at home in different allied countries to help them with infrastructure. That's what that money's for. He's taking that money and he's giving it to himself so he can fucking decide whatever the fuck he wants to do with it. And it's $4.9 billion. And that is what Donald Trump has always done with his businesses. That is why he went bankrupt 7 times. He is going to bankrupt. Count it, $37 trillion in deficit right now. Record deficit.
Debt.
5 years debt. 5 years ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
5 years. And he's now stealing whatever is left in the kitty, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what the debt was in 1989?
I don't know, like 100 billion?
2.3 trillion.
2.3 trillion?
Yeah.
89? What is it now? 37 trillion?
37. Yeah. We've been spending a lot of money, and it's because of these illegal criminal activities that have been going on in our system. The next chapter of The Greatest Heist actually deals directly with bailouts and how these guys have been skimming off bailouts for decades now. They create the crises, and then they create the bailouts, and then they steal the money from the bailouts. It's unthinkably cruel and unpatriotic, but, treasonous maybe. These are the things that are going to be cut according to this new reporting by the New York Times. They've been able to identify the Office of Money Management and Budget as basically used unusual language in 100 different accounts, and they include substance abuse treatment programs, public health preparation and response, low-income home energy and assistance programs, the global health programs contributing to international organizations, embassy security, special education, student aid administration, career, technical, and adult education, special supplemental nutritional program for women, infants, and children, because that's what you want to steal from, the National Institute of Food and Agricultural Research and Education. He goes on, operations of the National Park System, the Job Corps, Training and Employment Services, the Peace Corps, Economic Support Fund, and then because they have such a good handle on the atmospherics, the National Oceanics and Atmospheric Administration Procurement and Acquisition and Construction Program. It's all been cut. Now, they're not meant to be doing this. And by the way, FEMA as well, which is such a huge program.
Yep.
parts of FEMA, and federal prison systems, buildings and facilities that don't need those anymore because they're going to be building concentration camps essentially under ICE. So this is the kind of stuff that they're going to be trimming away at. But the point here really isn't that they're cutting the budget. The point is that he is trying to do it without congressional authority. He's not the king. He's not a president with all consuming power. He is just the president of the United States, and he has to work with two other branches of government. And the first branch of government, which has complete control of the budget, is the Congress. So this is something to get really upset about because, play this out over a couple of years and the Congress becomes irrelevant. Now you've got the controls over the purse strings, and Donald Trump is basically a dictator, which we've already been saying forever. But as we're watching it happen, this is what it looks like in real time.
Do you think that the Congress is relevant today?
I mean, in the sense that it can actually cut budget programs and can approve budgets, yes, I think there's something there. I mean, I don't think they're as relevant as they used to be when people used to actually have representatives who spoke their mind and voted their mind. Now we have power blocks. It's happened before. But I think that there's a hope that 2026 is able to subvert the current order. I don't know if that's overstated, but if the president just assumes that he has all this power and the Congress doesn't have any power over the budget, we're in trouble.
Well, listen, I haven't seen Congress have any power over the budget at all in 2025. I mean, whether it's budget cuts or Doge, whether it's firing people at the Department of fucking Education. I mean, we talk about Congress now as if it is a legitimate body. Should be, but it is not. And here's why it's not: is Donald Trump is all powerful at the moment. We don't, we talk about dictatorships, but the man knows how powerful he is. Like, he understands that he owns every executive branch. He understands that he owns Congress. He understands that he is the president of the United States. He understands that the power of Trump and the Trump regime own the Senate. The Trump regime own the Supreme Court of the United States of America. So, like, let's not kid ourselves about the coming dictatorship. It's fucking here.
Yeah,
the guy is definitely a dictator, and a dictator as such, that he's decided to steal money from people who egregiously need it or they'll die, so that he can build out his Qatari jet, so that he can turn that into fucking Air Force One, so he can build a $200 million ballroom, so he can continue to golf every single fucking weekend. And it's costing taxpayer billions. Well, they're up to their eyeballs in debt, $37 trillion. And now he's looking around. You know how the other day he's like, hey, Mr. And he lied about it. He's a fuck. And that's the other thing. He's a pathological liar. Remember that every time we talk about this man. And then we're going to sluice through the actual receipts. Here's a receipt. Donald Trump the other day, he's like, someone said lie. He's like, someone said to me, sir, we're up 29 billion this month. And I'm like, we have no idea where it came from. Check the tariff shelf, he said. So all that money, on top of him stealing your money, he's taxing every single American to the point, if you're to believe him, and you can't, let's just say it is 30 billion. And it was on the tariff shelf. Not only is he fucking people over for budgeted money that goes to help people, their taxes pay for it when it comes to the U.S. aid program, he's actually now downloaded the biggest tax hike on the American public in the history of the United States with these tariffs. Yeah. So he's got the United States 7 ways to fucking Sunday. Sorry to use that phrase twice in an actual podcast, but he's a dictator, and he's already running the fucking game. And everybody else is a mark.
And you're going to hear him gloat about this tariff boon that he's having, because in fact, you do get tariff money, and the budget gets bigger at the beginning of any tariff increase. That's just the way it is. What's not being factored in is the actual cost increases that ultimately are going to affect inflation. For now, most of these importers or exporters and these local retailers are keeping some of the costs down by absorbing some of these costs. But in reality, over time, we're going to start seeing that inflationary pressure. And once that inflationary pressure starts, along with a declining dollar and all these other economic pressures that he's put on the economy, we're going to have an inflation and stagnation crisis. That's just what everyone says. I'm not an economist, but that's what they believe. So, this might seem like everything's going fine right now, but it won't over the long term because in
It's not
most
going
cases,
fun. It's not going fun. And you're 100% right. You can project out what inflation is going to be in the next 3 months because of what Donald Trump is doing. And he's got, the Fed. He's all over the Fed, tried to fire Lisa Cook. That's up for grabs now. A judge is going to adjudicate on that, I think, today or tomorrow. We'll find out more. He's all over Jerome Powell to get rid of so they can get interest rates down to a place that benefit Donald Trump. It's the same reason that Donald Trump went after the USAID budget because it benefits Donald Trump. It benefits what he wants to do. And on top of all of that, like I said earlier, on top of the selfishness and the commandeering of federal budgets for his own personal use, because believe it or not, it is for his own personal use. This Qatari jet, that's his own personal fucking use. The ballroom, his own personal use. Few million to literally pave over the fucking rose garden to turn it into a golf course patio. That is waste, fraud, and abuse. There is, there are so many signposts, and it's fucking amazing to me because the dude will stand there and go, "Of course I'm going to take a free jet. Who's not going to take a free jet? Of course I'm going to redo the Rose Garden. Who's not going to redo the ladies here need a place to dance. It's the fucking White House. Of course we need a ballroom." And everybody around him just goes, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." Now he's trying to steal the USAID budget from out underneath people in the United States who will die if they don't get access to the programs that money funds. And he's like, "Oh, it's waste, fraud, and abuse." Everybody around him is like, "Oh, yeah. Yeah." It is
I think the most
fucking
effective.
unbelievable. The United States is in an unbelievable predicament because not only does nobody push back, nobody. I mean, you get people like us, you get a few different people, there's pockets of resistance, et cetera, et cetera. You're starting to see this Governor Alliance push back. But the fucking brazen theft that he admits to is absolutely unbelievable to me.
We're going to wake up from all of this realizing that he has stolen so much money. Him and his goons have stolen so much money that, who knows how much of the treasury is actually going to be left by the time he's done. And it's not just from observing him, not just observing his 40-year track record as a criminal, but observing other dictators in the same position. This is what they do. They gain power, they disrupt things, they make things chaotic while they're stealing shit. They steal as much as they can for everybody. So pay attention to the money flows. It's super important. The number 4 story, Tesla claimed it didn't have crucial crash data in a fatal 2019 autopilot accident that killed a 22-year-old woman in Florida. A hacker sitting in a Miami Starbucks was, however, able to find the data in minutes, proving that Tesla had received it immediately and after the crash and had marked it for deletion. Imagine that, Elon Musk wanting to hide data that could incriminate his company. The revelation helped secure a historic $243 million verdict against the company, with the jury finding the Tesla 33% liable for the crash. Now, this is only really, it's interesting for a number of reasons. Of course, there's, the automatic driving is a fascinating thing. But, this company has so much data on its drivers. And now we know that we can't even trust them in a case like this, where you have an accident where someone's life is claimed. You can't trust them to be clean and to share that data transparently.
Yeah, shocker.
No.
Anybody surprised that? And listen, this is one of hundreds of autopilot crashes, right? And this gentleman has lied. Elon Musk has lied over the past I don't know how many years about autopilot and how everybody is going to be able to let their car drive them to work. And he says it's coming. He's been saying it's coming. And it's not coming. Still isn't coming. And that's why so many people have died using autopilot. Plus, they're stupid. Nobody in their right mind that gets behind the wheel of a vehicle takes their hands off it and lets the wheel do all the work. If you do, like how many videos I've seen of like guys driving down the 401 fast asleep in their fucking Tesla. And the issue for me isn't so much that we knew and was still allowed to sell these cars, still allowed to lie about selling these cars. The issue for me is the deletion of the data and the fact that a hacker sitting in a fucking Miami Starbucks was able to uncover that data. And that data, according to that hacker and according to the judge that awarded this family $239 or $240 million in punitive damages for this crash that killed 2 loved ones, that they deleted the information, that they refused to have the information. This is an information guy. This is a guy that owns AI companies. This is a guy that owns a social media company.
He owns all our social security data.
He owns all your social security data. But when it comes to him, no, no, Moss.
Yeah.
Not interested in being accountable. Not interested whatsoever. The interesting thing here too is that Elon has kept such a fucking low profile.
He has, hasn't he?
Over the past 2 months specifically. And not only is this lawsuit foist him, if you will, or hoist him back into the spotlight in an incredibly negative way. This is RICO territory. This is the kind of judgment that happens where all the other victims of the same thing will come out of the woodwork and go, I want a piece of that. I want a piece of that. That same thing happened to me, and literally hundreds. And they've been trying to bury these instances on Twitter. I don't know if you've seen it, the algorithm prior to Elon buying it. It was chock-a-block full of fucking autopilot accidents and Tesla's malfunctioning and real statistics about how dangerous these cars can be if you leave them on autopilot. Runaway Teslas literally flying down the highway with guys praying behind the wheel because they can't seem to stop a runaway car that goes about 270 fucking kilometers an hour if it tops out. It is truly remarkable because Elon Musk will stop at nothing to prevent you from knowing how dangerous he is and how dangerous these cars. Listen, I had one for about a year. And the second that Donald Trump and Elon Musk formed a team, I got rid of it. I drive a Kia.
Hey, Kia's lovely. Good
it's
car.
A great little rig.
I wouldn't own a Tesla because I just don't trust him. I mean, he's got all this data. He's got his control over everything. He could drive your car off the road if he wanted to.
Right.
I'm convinced of it. I don't know if he can. But
he can. And here's the other thing. He's got all your data. It's like a giant tracking device. He knows where you're going, when you're going, how you're going, what you're doing. And he's downloading that information. He wants that information. But information that might keep citizens who buy these shit boxes safe, he's deleting that. He's getting rid of that.
Yeah.
Don't buy a Tesla, people.
Don't buy a Tesla. It makes complete no sense.
And by the way, just a quick aside.
Yes.
I cannot stop laughing out loud every time a Cybertruck drives by me when I'm walking to the grocery store. I was standing on the street corner and there's a guy that pulled up right to the red light when I was on the street corner. This is like 2 days ago. I started laughing and I was looking at the car laughing. And he rolled down the window and he's like, "What are you looking at? What's so funny?" I go, Your
car's really funny. That's the last reaction he wanted to get from that car. You know that. He got that car, so you'd be admiring him. You'd be like, "Oh my gosh, that beautiful car you have."
He was so angry. He was like, "Fuck you." I'm like, "Okay, but you're still driving that toaster, dude."
Hey, I gotta get this in because it's just I just noticed it that Canada's economy has gone down. Apparently, the GDP down 1.6% in real GDP growth in the second quarter. I know you would find all sorts of good reasons to explain that, but that's not a good look necessarily.
No, and a quick aside, it's funny because someone asked me about that yesterday, because I think, exports are down 13% this quarter, but they're up 10% over last year. And you need to look at those numbers. We've lost just over 1% GDP because of the tariff war, because we're trying to find new partners. And it is, it's not like the United States where they lost 2.4% of their GDP, or a couple of other countries like, let's say, Russia, who lost 22% of their GDP this last year. But Canada is still incredibly healthy when it comes to our trade surplus that we have with other countries. But yeah, Canada's economy was pretty soft, but that's just an indicator. It could have been much worse.
Yeah.
It could have been much worse had we not pivoted to new partnerships. It could have been much worse for certain industries, specifically the steel industry, softwood lumber industry, had we not subsidized or figured out a way to pivot and find new partners to be able to trade with. So I give Mark Carney and the government of Canada some credit, and I give the Canadian public some credit. This booze ban, and I wrote about it the other day. It's crushing the United States. Booze distillers, whiskey distillers, winemakers, vintners are calling Canadian officials begging Canadian officials to put that stuff back on the shelves. The alcohol industry in Canada, specifically the native alcohol industry in Canada, I don't mean Indigenous, I mean people in Canada that make alcohol, whether it be whiskey, wine, beer, etc., record profits. So, you're going to see some seesaw here. It's going to take a little bit of time to get back to where we were, for
But it
sure.
just shows you that these tariffs are so unpredictable that they can shock an entire country's economy. And they're doing it around the world. It shocked India's economy, it's shocking Canada a little bit. This is not the way to run a trustworthy government at the end of the day. No one's going to look at the United States as secure or safe or having any stable economic vision if they keep operating in the way that they're doing.
Yeah, and let me just add to that the EU swing, to your point. The reason why Mark Carney went and solidified those agreements with those EU countries this last week was to do deals where we can spike new revenue into the Canadian economy with raw materials, energy, et cetera, et cetera. So we're seeing the dip before we see the climb, and I think the climb is coming with this action plan, this One Canada action plan. Interprovincial trade is going to pick up. It's already starting to. That's several $billions to Canada's bottom line and our GDP as well. So we're just in this soft phase right now, but in no way was it cataclysmic whatsoever at all.
Number 3, Trump's special envoy, Steve Witkoff, fundamentally misunderstood Vladimir Putin's territorial demands during a critical 3-hour Moscow meeting, leaving European allies startled and derailing peace negotiations. So this is, Witkoff is a former real estate mogul. He's now the number one diplomat, I guess, in Donald Trump's inner circle. He's very close to Vladimir Putin. I think he's been in Moscow to meet Putin 5 times in the last 6 months or something like that. So he goes over for his last meeting just before those European talks at the Alaska summit, and without a note taker there. And then he reports back that there will be some sort of land swap between Russia and Ukraine, that Putin is in favor of swapping some land currently occupied by the Russians in exchange for other land currently occupied by the Ukrainians. It turns out this is all nonsense. So the next day, he has to apologize to all these lawmakers and all their intermediaries. And that is why that Alaska summit and what happened the week after is that their European summit was such a disaster, because you have someone who's completely inequipped to run a negotiation like this with one of the smartest, schemers in the world, Vladimir Putin. And he is, they're sending Witkoff over there to be sort of a whipping boy for Putin. And he can't even get a message straight. He can't even get the message back to the White House as to what Putin is really offering. It's such an embarrassment. It's such a joke.
I feel like we should make shirts for this era that we're in. Are you surprised? Yeah. Are you shocked? This is like the 4th time I've said it today. Are you shocked?
Nothing shocks me. Nothing shocks me. Are you shocked by any of this?
No, I'm not. I mean, it's funny because I remember the first iteration of the Trump admin. You turn on CNN, you're like, holy shit, he did what? Holy shit, he did what? Right. But, he had decent people around him. He's got no decent people around him. I mean, the inmates are running the fucking asylum, if you will. Steve Witkoff is his real estate buddy. And to be a real estate buddy of Donald Trump in New York, you have to be just as crooked, just as dumb, just as fucking useless as Donald Trump. You have to be born on halfway between 2nd and 3rd with a head start home. And Steve Witkoff comes from one of those families. Donald Trump comes from one of those families. They came up together in New York construction and the real estate game, et cetera, et cetera. And listen, here's the fucking catch: is Steve Witkoff is not, like every other person in the Trump regime, is not qualified to be a fucking diplomat.
No.
He also is a Russia sycophant as well. And he walked into that meeting with Putin. He's met with him 5 times, he said, 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
Every single meeting he has used a translator provided to him by Vladimir Putin and the KGB. He has not brought anybody from the State Department, which in itself is fucking illegal.
Yeah.
He has not brought anybody to help translate. He has not brought any. It has been one-on-one. It has been Steve Witkoff and Putin provides the agenda and he provides the game. And then Steve Witkoff, strangely, lost in translation, completely fucks up the request from Vladimir Putin to Donald Trump. He goes back and he's like, here's what he wants. And then Donald Trump's like, okay, let's talk to him about that. And Putin's like, yeah, that's not what I said.
Yeah, and can't prove it because we don't have any of our own State Department people there with him. So you've got, this guy who's basically, look, he is in the crypto game. This is what he is really cares about. It's his kid, right? That's doing the crypto stuff with the Trumps.
Yeah, World
So
Liberty. Yeah, it's his
yeah,
son. Yep.
they and Putin and Trump
Zachary
said,
Witkoff
yeah,
is his
they can
name.
make
Yeah.
so many billions of dollars off crypto when all this is done that that's all they care about. That's all these guys care about is the multi-billion-dollar paycheck they're getting at the end of all of this while America is corrupted and the treasury is bled dry. I mean, this is basically where these guys are focused. They're focused on their own personal fortune. They're not interested in what's going on. So for him, he'll be the fall guy. He'll stumble along and he'll say, yeah, well, I got it wrong. I apologize. Meanwhile, 23 people are dead last night in Ukraine, and 4 babies included, 4 children included in that. It's the emergency continues. And this is our number 2 story. Ukraine convened an emergency UN Security Council meeting after Russia launched its largest attack on Kyiv since Trump's Alaska summit with Putin. 23 people, including 4 children, were killed. The strike deployed 630 drones and missiles just 2 weeks after Trump claimed the progress in the peace talks. White House Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt said Trump was not happy, but also not surprised, suggesting perhaps both sides are not ready to end it themselves. No, there's only one side that's not really happy to end it. It's only Putin's not really happy to end it because he could end it today.
Yeah. Listen, I don't know if you saw, Lev is going to pop in here with us to weigh in on this story. He was watching, and I invited him in because of his work in Ukraine, being from Ukraine. Voice of Ukraine with Alex does an incredible job. So we'll get that. Hey, big fella,
Lev.
how are we? How you doing? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, boys? What's going on, guys?
Are you just at the beach house today? It looks like you're having a beachy day, fella.
No, I'm actually in the backyard walking the dogs right now, and I was just listening to what you guys are up to, and figured let me jump in.
Oh, dude,
you know a lot about Witkoff.
Witkoff.
Yeah. We're talking about the new Lev, Steve Witkoff. Gave a little backstory into him being a real estate guy, just as corrupt and dumb as Donald Trump, getting it all wrong in Russia when he met with Putin 5 times, and Putin provide him the translator. It's just fucking unbelievable to me. But what we're talking about now is the end result of that, which is, the miscommunication because Witkoff's an idiot, and the devastation in Ukraine last night. 630 drones, ballistic missiles. Wanted to get your thoughts. Yeah,
they're still pulling kids out of the rubble today. I mean, the count is still going up. It's disgusting. I wrote about it even today. I mean, there's more attacks continuing, not as big as yesterday, but the attacks continue every day. And for those of you that haven't been following what we've been talking about, Steve Witkoff, there's a reason why he doesn't bring in his own translator. I heard Dean say there's a reason why he, supposedly he misunderstood it because those meetings are staged. He's not going in, sitting down with Vladimir Putin to actually sit down and discuss and work out, strategize. No, I'll tell you, I've been to those meetings. Those meetings are basically, he walks in there, it's a photo op, he sits down, and it's already prearranged what Putin is going to say, what Witkoff's going to respond. It's about 15 minutes, a half an hour. They pleasantries, they give each other messages. See you later, have a nice day. The real meetings and the real deals take place prior to those happening and after those meetings. And that's being by Witkoff's handler, Kirill Dmitriev. And you've also started seeing, they just started recently finally reporting, the media, on that the other name I keep mentioning, Jared Kushner. I know you haven't heard him lately, but now all of a sudden there's reports of him popping up in the Oval Office, and Trump's trying to, he's giving advice on the Middle East. I mean, it's all part of the same, all part of that shadow diplomacy that they're doing. So it was never a misunderstanding. It was part of their way of trying to get at why they even had this sham of a Alaska meeting. Because if you think about it, if Witkoff would have given the message, there would have been no meeting because there would have been. So the meeting, as I wrote about it and reported on it, was staged not only for theatrics, not only for Trump to give Russia a platform to get back into the world stage because of their whole, like you mentioned, Zev, the crypto. They're not waiting until they get out of office. They're doing it now. I mean, the numbers that they're making currently, and Zach Witkoff is, leader of the pack, because neither Twiddledee or Twiddledum Trump could figure out their way out of a crypto box, or know what an algorithm, or even know what what to do with it. So the real players. So that's why this is all the media now playing it up. Steve Witkoff's taking the hit, basically. Oh yeah, I didn't know. That's why we had the meeting. Now that's why now this is all falling apart, because there was never there was never something to negotiate, because it was all Witkoff's fault.
So you're basically saying that they set up a premise that was completely fake, just to catch the president of the United States and force him into the summit. They basically said there's an opening for peace, but there was never an opening for peace.
No, I mean, Trump knew there was no opening for PC either. This was all staged because Trump needed to get rid of the Epstein. Because if you recall, it was literally that day that they announced it. We broke the meeting that they were supposed to have with Todd Blanche and about Dan Bongino, and then he was supposed to sanction Russia. Literally, this was Thursday, but that Friday he was supposed to sanction Russia. So there was a lot of things coming up. When Witkoff went to see him, what my sources told me, what I reported on, literally they were in their room with them, is that the plan was hatched by Putin, that to take the whole media, he goes, I'll meet Trump now, set up the meeting right away, and this will take all the media off of.
Just the way to get off the apps. You got cut off there. I don't know why your audio was cut out, but if you can still hear us, you're basically saying that this was a way to just distract from Epstein.
This was one of the things. There was several things. Distract from the Epstein. It was also to be able to give Russia, start bringing Russia in, because part of the plan, which I wrote about in the next 30 days, we're normalizing the relationships with Russia, and you start seeing Trump try to do it. The problem Trump's having is that Putin is such a monster. You know what I'm saying? You see Trump coming up saying, "Oh well, maybe we'll invite Putin over to the FIFA soccer cups," and then you see Putin go bomb, Ukraine, and it makes it that much difficult for Trump.
It's so embarrassing. The American president is busy subjugating himself to the Russian president like he is some sort of, god. American president is far more powerful than the Russian president. The American president is in charge of this massive economy. He could absolutely destroy Russia if they really wanted to. And so you've got this guy, allowing Vladimir Putin to treat him like a lapdog. To basically walk him around and tell him when to host the summits and trick him into summits, and then, force these conclusions in these summits. And we saw it during the summit when Putin started talking first.
Because Putin's a mastermind manipulator. The way they presented to Trump, it's all Trump's ideas. Just think about it. The way they presented to Trump, that it was Trump's great win to have Putin come to American soil. In Trump's mind, he thinks that, it was Putin. I won. Putin came to my house. He doesn't realize that because they set him up, it was a win for Putin to come to American soil, to get the red carpet, to get the recognition worldwide, to get the president of the United States literally kneeling in front of him and wobbling and giving him this whole attention, giving him a platform. So, but in Trump's mind, if you listen to how he presents, is the way Witkoff presented, the way Putin and Dmitriev, and they showed it to him, that it's a win for him. Putin is like, it's a bad thing for Putin, because Putin rather meet in Russia and Moscow or something like that. You know what I mean?
And then they invite all the European leaders over, right? So now all the European leaders will come over into the White House, this emergency meeting with Zelensky. And they are in front of the world stage, showing how incompetent they are because they couldn't get the message, so-called message from Putin correct. So then Witkoff has to go out the next day and apologize that he got the message completely wrong, owning the fact that the White House is incompetent at doing foreign relations, completely incompetent. And the entire European leadership, all the main leaders in Europe, are sitting there surrounding Trump and must be thinking, what kind of loony show are we watching here?
But just think about it, Zev. If you think about the only people that are talking about that is us, maybe somebody else, maybe, Olga's talking about it, we're talking. The media is not. Just think about how huge of this should be breaking news. I mean, peace talks. I mean, you misunderstood land, peace. Like what is going on? Why did you? I mean, not one question.
Yeah.
There's no question. I mean, there's no, at the press briefing right now, they're going to be, I don't even know what they're going to be asking about. I mean, That's one of my messages, and one of the things I keep screaming at the Democrat leadership right now is, I'm giving you a freebie. I'm telling you exactly what you need to do. Take away the messaging. Take away the news cycle. Stop being on the defense and reacting to every crazy notion and press release he gives out there. Go out there yourself. Come up with some solutions. Come up with some plans. Come up with some ideas, and come out with some, and let him start reacting to it. Go on the offense a little bit instead of sitting there and just calling him a dictator and calling him a criminal. Because you know what? Oh, you kept calling him a dictator, a criminal for all these years, and you know what? The American people still nominated him president of the United States while he's a 34th count indicted criminal, adjudicated sex offender, and he's still the president. So that doesn't work. Stick to the facts, folks, and that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I mean, he controls the media cycle right now.
Yeah,
so incompetent.
Yeah, but the incompetence, even in itself, and I will say this, and you've talked about this a few times, to with us, Lev, and we'll let you get back to walking the dogs in just a second. But the incompetence plays in changing the news cycle, right? And if you're looking at a guy like Steve Witkoff, who we all know is incompetent and completely fucking unqualified to be doing what he's doing on behalf of the United States, completely unqualified, is that the Trump admin finding out, or the Trump regime finding out, that Donald Trump got bad information from Steve Witkoff, to me seems more like a rugging, seems more like an opportunity for MAGA, more like an opportunity to be able to tell these people, hey, it's got nothing to do with us. It's got everything to do with them. It's what they told us. It distracts everybody. Everybody's now talking about the news cycle. Well, how dumb is Steve Witkoff? Well, while we're talking about how dumb Steve Witkoff is, the Trump regime is putting him at the front of the line as the guy that fucked the whole thing up, while they're continuing to take away state rights, while they're continuing to fucking hide the Epstein files. I've never seen anybody use bad news better than this man, and better than the people around him.
I mean, that's the whole key, and that's the part of his whole secret is, literally, they don't see. That's what you gotta understand. They make the news. You know what I'm saying to you? And they sit there at night and figure out. They have a team that sits there, figures out how we're gonna change the news cycle tomorrow, which way we're gonna have it go. And you gotta understand, no news is bad news. Bad news is good news. Any news is good news because you control the news cycle and you're using it.
Don't leave a vacuum, right? Because then the real news might pop in.
Exactly. The only thing that he couldn't control, which was his kryptonite, and which I pray that we get back into, and I pray that once Congress that the media doesn't let him slide off of, was the Epstein stuff. There he got caught like in quicksand. Just think about it. If it wasn't for the only possible thing that could have stopped that the flow on the Epstein, and especially at the most critical time, because think about it, guys. That was the night. That Thursday was Wednesday. I broke the story about that Vance was going to have a dinner with Susie Wiles and them. That was the same day I talked about Dan Bongino. Literally the next day, that whole story completely died. Why?
Yeah.
Because the only thing that could have stopped it was an announcement, and he came out. He said, "I don't know when, but we're gonna have me and Putin are gonna meet." Boom, that's it. The media went wild. Him and Putin, like that's some kind of big. I still till this day don't understand what's the big deal about him and Putin meeting. Like, what makes the media drive? Like, what made that like summit? Like, what do they actually think? This is what drives me crazy sometimes. Like, do they actually think that they were gonna fly in there? They were going to come in there. They were going to sit down there, and they're going to roll up their sleeves, and they're going to sit down there. And
how can we solve this, everybody?
And
they don't
figure out.
so.
Is that what they? I mean, like, I'm trying to understand. Like, what is?
They don't think like that anymore. They don't think like that in newsrooms anymore. They think about how can we fill the next hour? What's the big shocker? What's our big clickbait?
Exactly.
Can we get? Oh wow, you're going to get Putin on American soil? Yeah, let's make huge. Because Putin's on American soil. But and then the last time they met was such a disaster. I'm so glad you mentioned Jeffrey Epstein because Waj was just on the chat just a few minutes ago. He's connected me with Ro Khanna's Peep team. And what we're wanting to do September 3rd is a 12-hour roadblock at Substack. And I hope you'll take part. I'm asking you live if you'll take part, because it'll be great for us to just focus on Epstein for 12 hours straight here on Substack. Because the attention needs to be focused on that story.
Yeah, and if I can, just inviting you to the September 3rd 12-hour Substack block party that we're going to have, where we're going to talk about everything. The reason why we're doing it is because on the 3rd, all of the victims are going to have a press conference and talk about what's going on. Coincidentally, you want to talk about changing the news cycle. That is the very same day that Vladimir Putin announced he's going to have a really cool military parade with Xi. And did you see that? I mean, holy shit! Yeah.
Well, first of all, I want to, from the bottom of my heart, thank you guys, and definitely I'm in with you. And just to get, since we're announcing this stuff, I was just literally, my people got off the phone with Rokana not too long ago. That I was actually supposed to go to Washington D.C. to start. I was gonna have Substack. I also want to get the Midas guys involved in it. I'm gonna try to get my son if he can. And also, I agree with you. I think we should need to make this a huge telethon. Let all the victims, all their voices be heard. And I'm in with you guys. Absolutely. Let me know what you're planning, and how we could fine tune it, and let's make this thing take that media cycle away from him. But the interesting part, just also on the fact that they're having that parade, the one thing that nobody's talking about is, guess who's not on the guest list? Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
It's true. He'd love to be there. I wish he would love to be there.
Think about it. He's the only dictator left off. I mean, like you got. He can't even get. They don't invite him to Davos. He can't even get even between the dictators. They don't appreciate him. Just think about it.
They must laugh at him every single day. I mean, they must just think he's the biggest joke on the planet, because he falls for their tricks every single time. He's just like, it just drives you nuts.
You know what? It's become more than just a trick, Zev. You know what? These people understand what they need. If Trump, it's like, some people need heroin, some people need drugs, alcohol, money. For Trump, he's an attention whore.
Yeah.
So as long as you give him, as long as you come in there and you kiss his ass and you sit there and what's it called? He'll give you the contract. He'll give you the pardon. He'll give you the. I mean, it's simple as that. I mean, it's not a difficult thing, because the one thing, and I'll let you guys go off of this, is I had on my Substack Live, I had Mary Trump on my
I saw that
show, and it was incredible. Me and
it
Mary
was great.
were speaking about Donald, and when we were leaving, I said, "What's the one thing you would tell Donald Trump, because he's definitely going to be watching the Substack?" And she turned around and she said, "You know what?" And she said something so incredibly important. That's why we're seeing why Donald Trump has it, because she's not only his niece, she's also a clinical psychologist, and so she, has a really good idea of why. And she said, because Donald, you were not. I feel so sorry that you were not loved as a child.
It's so true, though.
But as crazy as that's how, I need you to think how true that is, because I talk about all the time. She talks about, he grew up in an authoritarian household. His father, Fred, I told, when she found out yesterday for the first time that I knew her grandfather, I met him actually. It was kind of, she was like, whoa, but the place where he grew up and then graduated and went on to then the Roy Cohens of the world, the sleaze of the sleaze and everything. That's why he has no empathy. That's why he has no no moral barriers. That's why when people say, what's the one thing that they underjudge or underestimate him, is the fact that he will go to the fullest extreme. The fact that you'll say, oh, don't, he won't do that, it's just talk, or he won't do that, he'll get stopped, or he won't do that, it's just, he will do it. He's proven it over and over.
Yeah, he's got zero moral compass, none.
Zero moral. And one of the reasons, is because he did not, and unfortunately, lots of kids grow up and have that problem, and that's why we have an issue with love. And now we're watching one of them grow up to be the president of the United States and run this country, and that's what we're seeing happen. But that's why you don't see the same love, because all of that, relationship you see with his own, kids and everything, it's all built on, theatrics. Donald Trump's whole life is theatrics. It's,
Yeah.
playing
It's
in
all a
front of the
show.
camera. It's all a show. It's like, and I know it's not even just his, because a lot of oligarchs, a lot of, rich, powerful people don't realize, and I've spent most of my life around these people, most of their lives is theatrics. It's playing it out of having a perception of how they want people to think of them and hiding the real truth of who they really are.
Yeah. Fake it till you make it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that it is absolutely the sign of every single con man, right? Is play yourself off to be something you're not, get really angry when someone pierces that veil, and then go and attack those people. But to your point, most people have a governor that says, okay, stop. But Donald Trump doesn't. He'll go all the way. Lev, great to see you. I know you got to
Great to see you
get out of
guys.
here.
I gotta
Thanks so
go.
much for
Thank you
jumping
so
in.
much for having me.
We'll see
Let
you
me know.
Monday,
Yes.
buddy.
I'll see you Monday, brother. Have a great
Cheers,
weekend.
Lev. Thank you
Bye-bye.
so much for being here.
Lev
Bye-bye.
Parnas, ladies and gentlemen.
Before
Oh, shit.
Before he forgets.
Let me bring him. Let me get him back in before I forget. Hang on. Let me bring him back in. I know he was. I gotta invite him. Here we go. I gotta get the rest of him. I gotta get the rest of Lev before I go. He was gonna say something. He's got something coming up. Lev, make sure you hit me up. Come on, I'm waiting for you, fella. Let's go. He's not there anymore. We'll make sure. Yeah. But
Amazing stuff,
everybody,
though.
do yourself a favor. The reason why this place is so fucking incredible is because Lev will start watching, Waj will start watching, and then we'll just invite him on. And that's the beauty of this. But go and subscribe to Lev. That man breaks more incredibly interesting, intention setting, contextual information about the real intentions behind the Trump regime than anybody else in this app.
He really is plugged in.
Oh my God, he is fucking unbelievable. And not only that, he's a wonderful man. Like just an incredibly kind, empathetic, loving individual, family guy, loves his friends. He's been so kind to us, and we've become great friends over a period of time. So make sure you do me a favor, do him a favor. Make sure you become a paid sub of my friend Lev Parnas today. And thank you, Lev. Sorry for cutting you off there. I apologize.
No, well, I'm sure he'll be back to tell us, or at least he'll text you the details of what he was going to say. I hope, because I want to hear it. But I agree with you. Lev's a terrific guy. I can't believe I used to cover him, and I used to think, like the world he was involved in was so corrupt and so driven by greed and all the worst kinds of things. To get to know him now and to watch his transformation gives you a lot of hope for everybody. There's a lot of people that might be in the murky waters only because they land up there, not because they can find the alternative. And I think that over time we can help them find that alternative and find the light.
Such a great point. There are people, and it's funny because everybody's got a different path, right? Lev comes from Odessa, moves to New York, Brighton Beach, I believe they call that Little Odessa, as a child, and he has to survive in a home where both parents are working, and so he becomes what they call a hustler. That was his whole life. He hustled, and he hustled for the mob. It's what he did. He would go and pick up money. He would do all these other things, and he just continued to hustle his entire life, and found himself literally at a table with Donald Trump several years ago saying, you should probably fire the ambassador for Ukraine. And Trump's like, do it. Now you're my fucking favorite guy. And he used him to conduct unbelievably fucking clandestine operations trying to frame the Biden family.
Right. Crazy.
And if you haven't seen From Russia with Lev, this documentary that Rachel Maddow did of that beautiful man, if you haven't seen that documentary, I highly encourage you to watch it, because you get a real feel for a man that hustled his whole life into a place he never thought he'd find himself, only to have everything taken away from him by one Donald J. Trump after Donald J. Trump was done with said Ukrainian hustler. And most people in his circumstances will, do their time, get out, and go right back into the machine. The con machine, the hustle machine, whatever you want to call it. Lev didn't. He became a Pillar Award-winning whistleblower who stands up for the United States of America, who works his sources with courage, knowing he is under the thumb and under the watchful eye of Trump's hit list, because he's on Trump's hit list. And he just continues to do it with a smile. So that's the guy that I know. I don't know what he was like when he was younger. But I'm telling you, that man has the biggest heart, and his heart literally beats for the United States of America. So make sure you follow him today, friends.
Let's move on to the next story on our countdown today. We've mentioned we were talking about Ukraine and the attack there last night, but I think we've covered that as much as we can. So the number one story is Pennsylvania election conspiracy theorist Heather Honey, whose false claims about voter fraud were cited by Trump on January the 6th, has been appointed the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Election Integrity at the Department of Homeland Security. This broke a couple of days ago. We haven't had a chance to cover this, but it's shocking. Honey's faulty research, completely wrong research, wrongly claimed that Pennsylvania had 205,000 more votes than voters in 2020. A lie Trump repeated to supporters minutes before they stormed the Capitol. Now she has a job in the government, the United States government. It didn't even exist under Biden's administration, and it comes as Trump demands complete state voter lists and promises to eliminate mail-in voting and electronic voting machines. This is the height of insanity. This person is not qualified to do any research. She got that research wrong. Everybody knows she got that research wrong. And now here she is holding the position in the Department of Homeland Security that oversees election integrity. What could be more crazy than that?
There she is. There she is. Real looker. There she is. Yeah. There she is.
It doesn't matter what she looks like, but if she could do the job.
I like to get personal with assholes. It's just how I am. I sorry, it'll never not be part of me. Heather Honey is an election denier. Heather Honey not only authored but forged documents suggesting that they missed 200,000 votes in 2020, which would have handed the election to one Donald J. Trump. She, like Tina Peters, is being accused of, or has been accused of, not only stealing shit to try to help Donald Trump win,
right,
but also author forged documents to help Donald Trump win. And ladies and gentlemen of the United States of America, listen carefully. Donald Trump just put her in charge of the 2026 midterm election.
Yep. They're the ones running the election integrity. They're the ones going to be running election security. Women cannot be trusted about anything. I mean, you mentioned a couple of things that she's been involved in, but that Maricopa County fiasco went on for months. Remember, they had those recounts in front of the audience. OLN was all over it. It was insane. Now, she is responsible for election integrity, the person who cooked up a completely fraudulent scheme to lie about Donald Trump actually winning the elections, which he still believes. I mean, the nonsensical... This is a joke. This administration is a joke.
Yeah. Sorry, this is the fifth time I've said it today.
Yeah.
Are you surprised?
No.
Are you shocked?
I have a little. This one got me. I was like, whoa, they're not even pretending anymore.
They've all got me. Tulsi Gabbard's in charge of, she's the director of national intelligence.
Yeah.
Pete Hegseth is the fucking Secretary of Defense. Steve Witkoff is a special envoy. None of these people are qualified to do any of this. So hiring this woman is a perfect fit for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm always at a loss for words, but I'm never at a loss for words anymore because I always go back to the same well, which is this is a kakistocracy. Donald Trump doesn't have ambassadors. He has operatives. Donald Trump did not bring in, someone to manage election integrity. He brought an operative to offer no election integrity to steal the fucking election.
Who will lie? Who would basically be willing to lie for him.
Yeah. I mean, listen, this is not Kansas anymore. We are not in a place where our best and brightest and the most qualified individuals, the government is trying to find them desperately to protect America's interests. None of those things are true. None of them. And I go back to this all the time. The man is a fucking pathological liar who is doing everything and anything he can to steal 2026 for three very specific reasons. One, he doesn't want to go to jail, and his name is all over the fucking Epstein files. Nick Mulvaney, his former secretary or chief of staff, fucking came out and said, "Yeah, I've seen the files. Fucking, he's in them. He's totally in them." So he's hiding from that. The other thing he's hiding from is a 37% or 36% approval rating because the entire country fucking hates him, and he knows he's going to lose in 26. He knows he's going to lose. And the other reason why he's doing this, the other reason is because this is what Trump does. He does not give a fuck about the United States of America. He does not give a fuck about your vote. He doesn't give a fuck about free and fair elections. Donald Trump wants to stay out of jail. He wants to remain a king, and he will tag every and any criminal who thinks they like him or he's heard that likes him. Dude, the counterterrorism guy is a 22-year-old dude that used to fucking mow lawns last year, who is a right-wing influencer on fucking YouTube. I mean, this is crazy time.
Yeah,
We're not again. This isn't Kansas. This isn't the United States. This is a pure fucking cackerstocracy, authoritarian dictatorship, and every single move this guy makes, you don't even have to fucking scrutinize it. You don't. You
No.
just can assume with 100% certainty that the reason he made that decision is because he's a criminal. He's a fucking dictator. He's a sexual abuser. He is an authoritarian asshole who is doing everything he can to stay in power so he can continue to enrich himself and stay the fuck out of jail. Period. Stop, Zev. We should know this by now.
I know this. I know this. Labor Day, Monday, Workers' Day is when we're expecting lots of people to come out in Washington, D.C., and other parts of the city, the country. So this will involve the labor community actually, coming out this. It's a much bigger grouping than we've had show up at events before. So Labor Day is expected to be a big day of protest in the nation's capital. If you can, go and protest. This is about where we're at right now. It's the last thing that citizens can do in order to stop this government from its march into dictatorship and its march into World War III. So people really need to take this seriously now. If you can, go and protest. The website is called maydaystrong.org, maydaystrong.org. Check it out and go and protest.
Whatever happened to No Kings? They got taken over by maydaystrong.org?
Maybe they'll be both. I don't know.
Maybe a big one. Maybe, yeah, everybody get out there. I mean, there's lots of ways.
Tell us about that. I don't know.
That'd be nice. Lots of different ways that you can protest. Lots of different ways you can be part of the resistance. And I'll take a page out of Malcolm Nance's book. He tells everybody this: do something positive for the United States of America, for your friends, for democracy today. It doesn't matter what it is. Try to do something positive today. And we'll leave you with this. Join the resistance. Share this podcast. Share the words of people like Zev that gives you incredible history behind what we're experiencing right now with his greatest heist series. Part 8 is out right now. Highly encourage everybody to become a subscriber and share his information. Same thing with Lev. I've already waxed ecstatic about Lev's Substack and his content. And make sure that you subscribe to mine as well. We are different people, but we're all moving in the same direction, trying to protect the United States of America. We're in Canada, but what we're trying to do is make sure that you get as much really unvarnished truth and information to affirm the fact that you're not crazy. And we're all in the same boat. I go through this every single show, and I need you to know this, is that we're riding with you, and we're not going anywhere. So sharing this content, liking this content, becoming free or paid subscribers, and right now you can do so for 50% off throughout the rest of the weekend, right here on my Substack, deanblundell.substack.com. You can lock it in for life. You never pay more. Zev has a similar offer as well. We want you guys to come in. We want you to take part in these conversations with us. We want you to listen to the people that we bring on this show, whether it was yesterday with Jacob Carsbo or my friend Lev Parnas. We bring people that are in the know and people that are on the side of democracy, people that are on the side of the real rule of law, not Donald Trump's fucking faux rule of law. So join us, continue to subscribe, continue to help us as we help you navigate these waters. We'll navigate them together. And I would highly encourage everybody on Labor Day to go out and show your support for America, to not be violent. Show your support for what America really is, what you want back. Go out there and support the people that are putting themselves in harm's way. Go and test Donald Trump's new National Guard Rapid Protest Response Team, if you like, and know that it is your right, your God-given right to do so. And the visuals that will be put up from what you're going to do on Labor Day in the United States of America, if you plan on protesting, they're part of the narrative. They're part of the story. And that story is being told by so many people. So continue to push back, continue to share, continue to be involved in the resistance, continue to keep a smile on your face, because there's lots of good people that are standing shoulder to shoulder with you in North America. And Canada is no slouch. We love you, America, and we're right here for you.
Just one last thing, because it's beautiful what you just said, but I just want to build on that is, you're not going to agree with everything everyone says on Substack or, we have a lot of different personalities, a lot of different opinions. Everyone is different. But there's something really clarifying in this moment and very unifying in this moment is we all know what's at stake. And we all know that anyone who's fighting to preserve democracy and to fight dictatorship, they're your allies. We're your allies. And that's true for anybody, no matter what their opinion is, no matter what their history is in their political spectrum. As far as I'm concerned, if they're fighting for democracy, if they're fighting for your rights, if they're fighting for your freedom, they're our allies, and we should keep them close and work with them to stopping this administration.
Amen. Amen.
That is the FiveStack today. Thank you for being here on a Friday. We shall see you all again on Monday at 3 p.m. Thank you for being here, and have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great weekend, Dean.
You too, buddy. Have a great weekend, everybody. Stay tough, stay strong, stay together. We'll see you on Tuesday, I believe, right? Tuesday?
Oh, yeah, Tuesday.
See you Tuesday.
It's the third. It's the third.
Yeah. Oh, it'll be a big
Wednesday.
one.
Wednesday's the third.
Wednesday's the third.
Okay.
See you Tuesday. Bye.